Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the man behind the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about a new 4K release from Lionsgate Limited. It's an exclusive to their website and it's part of their Vestron video line. It is The Arrival from 1996, starring Charlie Sheen. It also stars Terry Polo, Lindsay Krause, Ron Silver, who was a great 90s bad guy. I miss him. Leon Rippey and Tony T. Johnson. It was directed by David Twohy, who is best known for the Riddick films. This movie, it was another alien invasion movie from 1996, along with Independence Day. Now, this movie takes a much different route than Independence Day does. Here, the aliens are already here, and they're hiding. Their invasion is much more subtle, and it's a clever plot device that they use. Now, the movie starts out with Elena Green, who's a scientist in the Arctic, and she's in Arctic clothing, like super cold, and she discovers this spring garden out there, and she's like, something is not right out here. And that's how the movie starts off. Something just isn't, there shouldn't be vegetation out there. So she starts to alert her superiors, and then the movie starts to kick off as the credits roll with our main character, Charlie Sheen's character, Zane Zeminski, who's kind of a paranoid, conspiracy-minded guy, but he's a radio astronomer, and he's very passionate about this work. And he works at a satellite dish for NASA, this giant dish. And one night, he's working late, and like he always does, and he's talking to his girlfriend, Shar, played by Terry Polo, who's very loyal to him and has got her own career going, which leads to some of their problems. But they're speaking one night, and he drops everything because this signal, he picks it up, and out of nowhere, and him and his assistant, played by Richard Schiff, Calvin, they try to record it and frantically try to trace this signal, and they do record it, but they don't get everything to confirm it. But there's definitely some kind of signal here that could be potentially extraterrestrial. So he takes it to his boss, Phil Gordian, played by Ron Silver. He goes to NASA with his recording, and he shows it to Phil Gordian. Phil Gordian listens to it and is very dismissive of it. And Zane is becoming frustrated. He's passionate, like, I want more money, I want more dish time, I want to pursue this as much as I can. I want to see if I can find it again so we can really confirm it. And Phil Gordian pulls him into his office and sends his assistant home. And he proceeds to tell him NASA's having cutbacks, and we're letting you go. He's like, but in a sly way, he's like, I'll extend the health benefits and maybe a month's pay, but you have to go. And he's like, Zane is like, I'm finding a potentially breakthrough discovery and you're firing me? So he becomes more, skeptical of this. So he's fired, he loses his job, and he takes a telecommunications job, and he tries to pursue another radio astronomer job, and he's calling from his current job. And they're like, yeah, Phil Gordian, I shouldn't really tell you this, but he didn't recommend you. He said you were kind of paranoid and a crazy conspiracy theorist, and we like creative thinkers, but not that creative, so maybe you should stick to that telecommunications job. And he's like, he knows something's going on. And because Phil Gordian is dismissive of the recording, and you see in a shot, Zane doesn't see it, but he tears up this tape, the recording of this signal, and now he's not letting him pursue this line of work anymore. He's basically ruining him from this field. And he's like, something is going on. And Phil Gordian is dismissive of him. He goes back to NASA, and he sees a lecture on terraforming, which is important. We'll get to that later. And he's like, what are you doing? You're so dismissive of this, and now you're ruining me. And Phil Gordian just like, he tells other people he's just not well and all this. And even his girlfriend's Shar has kind of become skeptical of him. He becomes so passionate about pursuing this. So at home, he uses his current telecommunications job to link up to other people's satellites so he can pursue this signal some more. And a neighborhood kid who lives next to him, staying with his grandmother, kind of drops in on his window and is catching him, and he's like, I want to see what you're up to. So he's like, lets the kid kind of keep him company. He's like, don't touch anything, but he lets him observe his makeshift lab that he kind of MacGyvers so he can pursue this signal more. And he discovers it again. And so he pursues it, and he picks up a Spanish language radio station. So he traces it to Mexico, and off to Mexico he goes. He wants to pursue this signal. And he goes there, and he meets Alina Green, the scientist, and she's pursuing something as well. She's tracing whatever's going on to this spot in Mexico, and there's this cool almost fortress, and it's a terraforming thing where they're expelling greenhouse gases to increase global warming. So global warming is part of the plot, and Zane befriends Dr. Green here, and they talk about what's going on, or something is just off. And Zane even sees somebody in Mexico kind of observing him, and he keeps being around, and he chases him. He's like, what is going on? And the guy gets away from him, and he doesn't quite see it, but the aliens can turn into humans, and they explain how they do that, but they have like inverted knees, so when they really need to jump, their knees reverse in ways humans can't, and he'll jump and get away. But no one believes him, but other than Dr. Green, but she ends up getting murdered, and Zane is framed for it. So now he's in a Mexican jail, so the first chance he knows he's in trouble, so he escapes and goes back to the lair and infiltrates that, and he finally sees what is really going on is like these aliens have this technology to where they can look like humans, and they discover him in their lair, and he even sees a doppelganger of Phil Gordian, who also is like a federale, so he just knows something is off, and then obviously he sees the aliens, so something's going on. So he basically is piecing it together that these aliens are already here, and instead of going around killing people, they don't kill unless they absolutely have to. They are trying to keep zero trace of anything of their activities, and their argument is kind of they need a very, very warm climate, so they're expelling greenhouse gas, and their justification when they tell Zane, they're like, we're just speeding up what you're actively doing anyway. So they're trying to terraform the Earth's climate so they can live there and humans can't. So it's a much more subtle way, and they don't go around killing people too much, or it's in very subtle ways because they don't want to draw any attention to themselves. They just want to do their thing, look like humans, and expel gas into the atmosphere and gradually warm it up. So that's their way of doing it. So it's like I said, very subtle. But Charlie Sheen, who's excellent here, Zane has to save the world when no one believes him, and it does lead to a climactic area. This movie isn't action-packed, but it's pretty cool. He has to discover what these aliens' weaknesses are and find a way to stop him and convince his loyal girlfriend Char to help him, and his neighbor Kiki, he tries to get the kid to help him too, and there's a little bit of a twist with that. And so he's trying to he did capture, when he had an argument with Phil Gordian earlier, he set up a camera to argue with him, pick up the audio so he can share it with the world, what's really going on, because no one believes him, and he has to prove it, that there's aliens here that are terraforming our planet, and that's how they're going to take us over. So that's what he does, and people start to believe him when things get crazier and crazier. But this movie is a great paranoid thriller. A lot of different things happen, and I really like the route they went. It was kind of a throwback to some B movies from the 50s and 60s of the sci-fi invasions, but done in a much more subtle way, which I really appreciate. But this movie is a lot of fun, and I think it's fell under the radar, and I'm glad Vestron Video Line and Lionsgate brought this back. It has some new artwork too. Now let's get into the audio and picture quality. The picture here, I've always enjoyed the Vestron video line, and they've now gotten into 4Ks. I have some Blu-rays. The picture here is excellent. This movie has never looked better. Some of the beautiful scenery and all that really pops on this movie. It's the best it's looked. The audio has a Dolby Atmos, which I don't know with my setup. My setup is different because I've had releases where people said the sound is disappointing, and it works really well with mine. This one, the Dolby Atmos, I have a Vizio soundbar. I don't have a full surround system, and it's normally very punchy and picks up Atmos or whatever setup it does very well. But here it was very faint. It was frustrating, so I had to put it on the 2.0 uncompressed audio option to watch this movie, and that was a solid track, but I kind of wanted the Dolby Atmos, so there was that. And so that was a little frustrating, and I did some research on it to see if I could find more about the audio, and I saw no issues. There was anybody complaining, so I guess my setup for some reason doesn't work too well with this Atmos, because other people didn't complain. So at first I thought it was a defect, but apparently not. So I have to change my setup a little bit for this release, which was a little disappointing. And the only other complaint I really have, I love the new artwork, and I love all that. It does have reversible artwork from the original theatrical poster here. That's also really nice. But it is the other complaint I really have. I like this Lionsgate Limited line. I really appreciate what they're doing. But when it's an exclusive to this site, you take this movie, the price for this was $30, which is fine, not too bad. But then with the $8 in shipping and another $2 in change in taxes, it basically adds $10 to the price. So I kind of wish it wasn't exclusive, and the packaging was really well done, but that's just a little much. So basically, when you go to Lionsgate Limited to buy something, basically add $10 to it, because that's what it's going to cost you. So I kind of wish this was a little more readily available. That's one kind of frustrating thing with Lionsgate. I'll get on my soapbox here a little bit. Is they used to put out some amazing 4Ks for, very reasonable prices. In the Vestron video, their old Blu-rays, some of those prices were like $22 for a great movie. And this is a great movie, but it does, $40 is starting to get a little bit up there, but that's the 4K market these days, I guess. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I wasn't planning going this long, but please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the movie. Have you picked this up? Let me know any of that in the comments. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.